En Tocancipá, el restaurante Las Delicias del Sazón Huilense ofrece desayunos y almuerzos con el mejor sabor en tamales, sancocho, asados huilenses, variedad de carnes, jugos naturales, platos corrientes y a la carta. Todo con los protocolos de bioseguridad, manteniendo distancia mesa a mesa. Pidan sus domicilios al 300-728-2207. No te pierdas Las Delicias del Sazón Huilense en Tocancipá, carrera sexta, número 838. Los esperamos.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Soy Marcela Castellanos y les hablo desde Londres. Les invito a aprender inglés de forma rápida, efectiva, divertida, dinámica. Se preguntarán por qué estoy vestida de esta forma. Pues represento a María Antonieta. Y vamos a continuar con la visita al Museo de Madame Tussauds, el museo de cera más famoso del mundo que se encuentra en Londres. También lo hay en otras ciudades, pero el más grande y el mejor está en Londres, por supuesto. Okay, let's have fun. Today we're going to learn a lot of history about Europe and life in general. Hi, Stuart.
Hello, Your Majesty. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Who are you dressed
I'm
as?
dressed as George Washington, the first president of the United States. We were introduced to him in the last lesson.
Yes, that's very cool. I love her dress. All right, let's continue with the lesson. We are going to learn about the history of many famous characters.
So, we met this character just at the very end of last lesson. This is Henry VIII. Henry VIII was the King of England, the last of the, well, no, not the last, but almost the last of the Tudor monarchs. He was King of England from 1509 until 1547. He was famous for having 8 wives, so he divorced Catherine of Aragon because she couldn't give him a son. And then that brought about the English Reformation. England became a Protestant country after that because the Pope wouldn't accept the divorce. And then, of course, he executed his second wife, Anne Boleyn, by having her head chopped off. And some of his other wives also met a sticky fate as well.
Yes, that's very interesting. Then we have William Shakespeare.
William Shakespeare, of course, is one of the most famous playwrights in the world, possibly the most famous, certainly the most famous English playwright. And he was a major figure in the Renaissance and in creating the idea of the modern man in literature. So he's famous for plays such as Hamlet, Macbeth, Romeo and Juliet, as well as history plays, including one about Henry VIII, which isn't played that much these days, but that was one of them as well.
Okay, we have now Charles Dickens.
Charles Dickens, of course, was one of the most famous English novelists of the 19th century, and he wrote out many long and detailed, convoluted stories that appeared first in magazines in episode form, and then we're familiar with them as novels. They include The Pickwick Papers, Great Expectations, Our Mutual Friend, and A Tale of Two Cities, which takes us back to revolutionary France.
Yes, and one of the most famous novel is Christmas
Carol.
Christmas Carol.
And here we have Winston Churchill, so Britain's wartime Prime Minister. Churchill was seen as a political failure until he was sort of catapulted into glory in 1940 when Britain was standing alone against the Nazis after the loss of France. And he was Prime Minister from 1940 until 1945, leading Britain through the Second World War. Then he lost the election in 1945, but reappeared as Prime Minister in 1951. And he was Prime Minister again then for another 4 years.
Okay, and nowadays we have another very famous figure.
Another politician, Barack Obama, President of the United States from 2008 until 2016. Sorry, 2008 till 2016. So the first black President of the United States, history-making event. And he was Democrat. He was catapulted into the lead in 2008, overtaking all the other candidates who wanted to win the Democratic nomination. And he was a very well-respected president of the US.
And around the world, it's not only in the United States. Okay, now we have our controversial
His
Donald
successor,
Trump.
Donald Trump, president from 2016 until next January. And he's a slightly more controversial figure, shall we say, than President Obama. And that's all we've got time for in this lesson.
Okay, thank you very much, student Alia. It's great to have you in the Madame Tussauds. We will continue with its famous characters, famous actors, and have fun. See you soon. Goodbye.
¿Necesita un regalo urgente para esta Navidad? Visite nuestra boutique Obsession. Aquí encontrará las fragancias más exclusivas para usted, su familia, su negocio, su hogar o su automóvil. Relojería garantizada de las mejores marcas, joyería en acero quirúrgico y cualquier cantidad de accesorios importados. Obsession, el arte del buen gusto.